Hello everyone, I'm Helen. I'm from Suna Interior Design. We are here in Norfolk at the Heartwood development for Hill Homes, where we have completed this wonderful new show home that they have here on the development. I'm here to tell you all about the interior design, so let's go inside and have a look. We're coming in through the front door. We'll get to these little bits in a bit, so let's go straight into the living room, shall we? As you can see, this is a very generous family living space. More of a formal space because we have a fabulous kitchen breakfast diner. So we wanted this space to feel a bit more like you're kind of relaxing in the evening, entertaining space potentially with hosting friends and so on that might come over. In here, because we wanted it to have a bit of a richer, warmer feel, we've gone for this wonderful colour that wraps on all the walls in here. This is something that we've used a couple of times in the design in this home, and it's a way of kind of adding a richness, kind of an extra layer to the space. And I think generally we find people can be a bit nervous about colour and will often just do a feature wall. And I think this is a perfect example, as is the bedroom upstairs, which we'll show you in a bit, of how adding that colour and wrapping it all the way around the walls can actually kind of feel more like enveloping in the space and just kind of making it a bit more cosy. We've used a mixture of different materials in here, all quite natural themes. I think where we are here in Norfolk, we're very near the coast. We've got a lot of kind of beautiful rural countryside around us, and we wanted those kind of natural tones to come through. And obviously the blue is a kind of a natural beachy seaside kind of feel. So trying to avoid too many of the obvious choices, but definitely hinting at that location in the design that we've done. Adding these wonderful kind of picture windows, picture window mirrors, sorry. That's a great little touch, I think, when you do use that deeper tone on the wall. Adding the mirrors just to reflect a bit of the light around really helps to make that all work. And then contrasting against the colour with these lovely kind of light linen-y textures that we've got going on in here. But don't be afraid to add those darker tones. You'll see behind, so I'm going to point you. We've got this kind of really rich, deep black lacquered piece of furniture for the ubiquitous TV unit that we all need to have in our homes these days. And certainly keeping those contrasts with the iron frames on the coffee tables and again the lacquered frames on the armchairs. But again, as the contrast of the sofa works so well against the colour of the wall, so do the linen fabric that we have on the curtains here. So that great bit of luxury, but you've got the kind of contrast and the warmth and the richness in there as well. So come through. I'm being told to speak up, which never happens, but hey, we'll see how that works out. So in the hallway, you can't really avoid this wonderful striped wallpaper that we've put in here. Fabulous double height ceilings, really impressive space. And this actually kind of has a step back section in the hall, so we felt this was a great opportunity to add a kind of touch of decadence, a bit of playfulness, by adding this striped contrast paper in here. And it's kind of a little bit nod to the kind of deck chair stripe, but it's just a bit more elevated and rich. It's got that kind of Regency element to it as well, especially when it's combined with this beautiful big carved stone mirror that we've got on there, which just helps to kind of tone it back as well. Also in the hallway, and kind of playing with the same idea, the WCs, so your downstairs loos, are often forgotten spaces. So we like to have a bit of fun with those. These are the kind of spaces where, you know, all your guests are going to use this when they come to stay, they come to visit, and why not have a bit of a playful touch in here with this really fun, fabulous wallpaper that we've got, which just kind of gives you something interesting to look at, to be honest, when you're in there. So yeah, be brave in these little spaces. Don't feel you have to do everything as like white walls, because, you know, let's have a bit of fun. So coming through, we've obviously got the kind of more formal living space in there, and in here we have our wonderfully rich and gorgeous and glamorous kind of formal dining space as well. Again, really generous. This is a fabulous entertaining space. We've got a very generous dining table with 8 chairs, and these are big, comfy chairs, so you could probably fit a 10-seater in here comfortably, but we've gone for something that feels really luxurious, where you could spend a whole evening chilling out in these spaces. And I know if you do anything like I do, when you invite your friends over, you tend to spend quite a lot of time in the dining room drinking your wine and enjoying your company of your friends. We've even got a kind of little, maybe pre-drinks area within this space. We've had added a kind of small library feel with these great kind of colonial-esque style generous armchairs, and again a kind of little drink station there, which works really well. So again, we kind of use this deep rich tone in here because we do have the deep bay on that side, and we wanted to kind of keep it feeling cosy but not drown the space out. We've actually used the strong colour as the backdrop to this beautiful kind of ornate mirror, and obviously on the backdrop to the little library space we have there as well. So coming through, we have a few little nods again to the kind of coastal area, a few little of these kind of coral imagery, some seaside touches, just as a kind of a nice reference point. So this is the kind of main family kitchen dining. I'm not actually going to take you through this just yet. We're going to end up here in a bit to chat to Spencer, who's going to tell us a bit more about the local area. So let's go upstairs and then we'll come back to here in a sec. It's looming in on you. I'm going to send my colleague up there first so she can show you some of the gallery work. So again, just some nice touches of kind of local area imagery referencing where you're living. But we just kind of butted those frames together, mismatched, but they have a bit more of an effect. It almost feels like one large piece of artwork when they're kind of positioned like that together. You have a very generous landing, and then we're going to take you through to the master suite. So this is the room I was saying we also did the wraparound colour. And you can see in here, we went from a stronger, even darker colour. And I think this is one of those things, when you see this on your little Dulux strip, you probably would be terrified at the thought of putting this on every wall. But I think this is a perfect example of how successful it can be when you do it well. And it's about what you pair it with and actually thinking about your home and your room. So in this instance, we've got fabulous big window, obviously bringing a lot of light in. We've purposely contrasted it again with like a natural linen. So they stand out beautifully, really framed well against the windows. And then behind you here, you've got this wonderful bank of built-in wardrobes, beautiful kind of soft grey tone that they've been done in. And that's, again, been framed wonderfully by that colour. And I think if the walls in here had been an off-white, then yes, that would work. But I think there's an added richness to how we've actually designed it here. You've got your dressing function, which could be a work from home, but I know it's nice when you've got a house of this size, and I'll show you later that there is a nicer work from home space in here. So your master suite, beautiful, generous bed area, but not complete without your ensuite. So you have a fabulous shower room in here, which is, you know, what you need for your master suite is your shower. And you'll see some of the extra touches of that kind of coral and seaside nods that we've got going on through here as well. Worth noting, actually, we've also shown some kind of local products. The Sock brand is a local Norfolk brand for the toiletries in here, and that's something that we always like to do with our schemes, is make sure that we're kind of really referencing the local area and feeling like you are seeing the kind of products that you could buy if you lived here. Again, that lovely little sea urchin bedside lamp looks fabulous in there. So coming through, you have a family bathroom. Obviously, the owners have their ensuite, so we've kept this a little bit more playful, possibly more for children. A couple of little touches and nods in there. And again, talking about colour in bathrooms, you know, if you don't have fully tiled bathrooms, then it's always an opportunity to add a bit of colour in those as well. And let's not forget them that they are spaces in your home. So we're walking into now one of the guest rooms. So in here, this, you know, it's a 3-bedroom house. It's a 3 double-bedroom house. So it could be families, it could be downsizers, it could be grandparents who want their grandchildren to come to stay. So we've done this room as a little bit of it could be a few different uses, but we've done it as a twin because it could be grandkids, it could be a child's room where they like to have lots of friends over. It could be grandparents that want to come to stay and want their own kind of comfort considered. So we've done a design in here which is a little bit flexible. It could kind of dial up with the youthfulness and be a bit more fun and playful for children. You could add a few more touches in, or it could actually just be kind of left a bit more simple so that it hits those nods that maybe the older market would be interested in as well. And something that we love in this room, so we've done this kind of different solution for storage. So rather than having big heavy furniture in here and actually closing down the room a lot, we decided to do something that actually was a little bit more transitional. If you're using this for guests, so people that are maybe only coming to stay for a few nights, they don't necessarily need a big double wardrobe, they just need somewhere to hang up a couple of things. So these lovely kind of wooden rods with the rope, again, just a little bit of a nod to the kind of coastal location where we are. And it's just a bit of fun and a bit of interest, I think quite memorable for when your guests do come to stay. Again, you know, somewhere to perch, to kick your shoes off. And we keep nodding. Guess where we are? In Norfolk. So coming back through, as I mentioned, you've got your kind of boiler storage in here. Wonderful big generous landings, just a really nice transitional space. We've added some fabulous kind of blanket boxes and a bit of display, but you know, could actually have a low sofa or daybed or something in here as well, or more storage if you wanted. And then this room is your kind of second or third guest bedroom, and it's huge. It's got this wonderful vaulted ceiling, and it's such a generous space that it basically has many, many multifunctions. You've got a great size guest bed in here, so you know it's not a bed that has to be folded away. You've got it here the whole time. Our wonderful work from home function, which, as we know, is an absolute essential in this day and age. And actually, it's a really generous space and a nice backdrop, which I think we all know with our Teams and Skype and Zoom calls is well, certainly something I look out for when I'm looking at people's backdrops and checking out what they've done. And it's often disappointing, so you need to step that up, guys. Again, a bit more kind of transitional storage in terms of the hanging space, and actually a huge amount of floor space in here. So this could be where you do your yoga in the morning, it could be an area where you do exercise generally, it could be a craft room, it could be a music room, could be so many different things. And we've just kind of styled it, hopefully, in a way that would maybe inspire you to think about what you would want to use it for. So that's the upstairs space. Let's go back down. So follow me down, back again. You can kind of get a really lovely sense of the light fitting against the striped wallpaper. Back through into, let's be honest, the room that we all end up spending our time in. And a home like this in this location wouldn't be right without a dog or two. So we stuck a couple of dog beds in here. We also have a wonderful kind of utility laundry space, which again we furnished slightly with a few little bits and bobs. But again, perfect for a boot room, dog room, for this kind of location. I mean, everyone wants that kind of rear entrance into the house, especially when it comes straight into the kitchen. I think that's fantastic. And the heart of the home, beautiful kitchen, gorgeous finishes with the pale grey, which again kind of coordinates through the doors and the architraves in the house, up into the wardrobes as you saw upstairs, with the contrast of the lovely kind of black iron handles. You've got the breakfast bar to provide some nice kind of relaxed seating to chat to your friends while you're cooking, or your kids when they come home from school. And then we've got something way more relaxed for the kind of dining function in here. So I still think this is an entertaining space in terms of where you could hang out, but it's way less formal than the other room that we have. So I think everybody looks around at home and goes, where would I have my Christmas meal? So that's your formal dining. But in here is probably where you'd use most days. And in here we wanted this to really feel light, fresh, airy, just reflect the kind of fittings that you've got in here. And again, the local area. So you've got these lovely kind of contrast timbers in the floor, in the table that we've got. This has got a very kind of beachy feel about it. And we've mixed in some slightly... Yeah, so I'm just getting odd looks from behind the camera there, but I think we're okay. Again, a lovely kind of window mirror just to reflect some of the light back in here. And if I spin you around, we've got our kind of casual, relaxed seating area. And I can introduce Spencer, who's not just hanging out there for no reason. So just to very quickly finish, we've got this great seating area, again a bit of corner seating, got the TV area on the back here, some more wonderful artwork. And you can see from here, this is such a vast space, and it's definitely the hangout space in the home. And finally, before I get back to Spencer, we do also have some super outside space here. Hopefully the building won't be noisy. And we've got some more relaxed kind of dining, as well as over there you can see in the vista in there with that wonderful kind of entertainment space, which I think many an evening would be enjoyed with another glass of wine. Not that I'm obsessed or anything. So yes, let's go over here. Where are you going to sit? Which side are you on?
I'm going to sit over here.
You're going to sit there. So this is Spencer.
Hello, I'm Spencer.
He's going to do the introduction, explain what he's all about.
I look after the Burnham Market office for Sowerbys, and we're very lucky to have the Heartwood development under our umbrella, and we're selling these beautiful homes.
Okay, should we sit down? This is a little bit weird. So I've obviously been working with Hill for many, many years on their interior design, which is why I wanted to take you through the home that we've just walked through. Hopefully I've picked up and touched on some key points, but you'll be able to see a lot more information about it on the Hill website. Spencer is the expert in where we are. So I've actually travelled for hours to get here today, so I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, but you are the expert. So do you want to tell us a bit about the local area?
There's an old phrase, we're in Docking, the village, and there's an old phrase that all roads lead to Docking, because actually for this part of North Norfolk, they really do. Historically, and certainly when I was growing up, you went through Docking to get somewhere better, but that really has changed over the last 10 years. It's such a hub of a village. What people love about this village is its community. It's got all the facilities, it's got a pub, it's got a great shop, it's got a school, it's got a doctor's surgery, and they're kind of real life things. But the other thing is it's also just 4 miles to Brancaster, which a lot of people think of as the jewel of North Norfolk coast. Other villages along the coast will probably argue the point of that, but this really is a very special part of not just Norfolk, but North Norfolk itself, and that's the real draw for Docking. Yeah,
I mean, I saw that just from travelling to the site today. And we've certainly tried to tap into the look and feel of that, and reference that kind of feel of the local area, which hopefully we've done it justice today.
Absolutely.
So what would be your kind of highlight? Is there anything particular about the local area? I mean, you've obviously mentioned a lot of them there, so I don't want to make you repeat yourself, but yeah.
We're a big sailing fraternity,
yeah.
but actually, and you touched on it there with dog beds, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The draw of the beaches is huge, and you often hear people say, you know, I came here as a child, I've come back on holiday every year, and now I want to have something more permanent here.
Yeah.
And that probably is the biggest draw. I think one of the things that unites every single buyer I deal with, regardless of their budget, is that they've got this absolute heartfelt love of this specific part of the county.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the great thing about Docking is that it really is, it's so central to all those places that are synonymous with North Norfolk. So Brancaster I've already mentioned, but you know, Burnham Market, it's almost the same distance. You know, you're straight out the door. You know, when we had the Beast from the East, people from Docking walked to Burnham Market, because it's only just over 4 miles. And you've got all the other coastal villages like Thornham, with all it has to offer, a lot similar to Burnham Market. So I can't sort of emphasise enough how much this as a location is a natural hub to get to the places that people love about.
And it's a lifestyle, right? That
Absolutely.
sounds, everything you've just described makes me feel like it's kind of the desire that we generally all kind of hanker after.
Yeah.
I know I've got a dog, and I would have loved to have brought her and let her walk around the beaches here. But so yeah, I mean, I think that's a fantastic kind of description of the local area. I don't know if we're ready yet for any questions. Have we got any coming through? So I'm picking that on you guys now. You're going to make us sit here and just wait. And on the hottest day, can I just say we're in the hottest part of the country
today. Yeah,
so if we're looking a bit shiny, please don't judge us. Yeah, you're having to do the suit jackets. I'm glad I'm not doing that.
Okay, so let's start by asking, how would you begin to design a room? Where do you start?
Okay, so I think one of the first things, and I kind of have been doing that, I think, as I've been talking you around the house, is talking about the functions. You know, what do you need to fit into the space? How do you want that area to work? And obviously you want the aesthetics, you want everything to kind of look beautiful, but there is no point having a space that doesn't function well for you in the home. So we have been pretty lucky with this house in particular, because the rooms are pretty generous, so it hasn't been that hard to figure that out and get those functions in there. But certainly just looking at your footprint, looking where your light comes from, so that you can think about how brave you can be with colour and those different rooms, because you don't want, you know, I'm an advocate for lots of colour and for dark colours if it's lit well, but I appreciate you don't want a big dark pit with no light coming in. So yeah, the footprint, what you're going to fit in there, think about that, and we generally look for a kind of an inspirational image or something that really talks to you and speaks to you and that you love. So colour is obviously one of the first things, whether it's a muted light palette, whether it's a strong colour. Have you got something that you love which is going to inspire that interior, whether it's like a piece of artwork or a beautiful rug or whatever that is. And then just start pulling some ideas together. I mean, I don't know whether the people that are watching use Pinterest, but that's become like a designer's preferred route to kind of create your own kind of style board. And it's a way of being able to throw all of your ideas together and then maybe realise whether there's too much going on. And, you know, at that point you can start taking things away and realising, kind of, you know, honing down onto the bits that really work well together. And kind of go from there.
Okay, we've got a question here that says, what is your favourite room in the house?
For me, I tried to ask you that. Which one's your favourite? This one, yeah.
Definitely this room.
Yeah.
It's I've got a family. This is the room we live in.
Yeah. I mean, even though the other spaces are fabulous, and it's nice to have those split out spaces. I think, especially again when you've got a family, it's quite nice for the parents and the kids to break away from each other. But this is definitely the room where you all come together. And I think you're absolutely right. I think when you're here, especially in the summer, the doors are open. You've got that transition to the outside space as well. I have a little soft spot for the master bedroom as well. Because of that deep blue tone with those kind of linen colours really kind of speaks to me. But I think you're right, actually. I think this is probably the best room.
And what would you say are the top 3 things to avoid when dressing a home?
Avoid? Gosh, I don't know if I would avoid anything. I'm kind of a bit open to anything goes. I know when I first started in this industry, there were certain colour palettes and things that I was like, oh gosh, I can't believe anybody would ever use those. But I feel like everything's open to reinvention, and we see that design-wise and style-wise, that things that you'd think back in, you know, the 70s with those awful kind of psychedelic curtains and patterns, but actually they're kind of coming back and being reinvented in a way that makes them cool again. So I don't know if I'd ever avoid. Actually, I tell a lie. The one thing I can't bear and probably will never like are sill-length curtains. So stop doing it. You know who you are. Don't do it. But anyway, yeah, that's me.
And what's the local property market looking like for those thinking to move out from London?
I think that's OG.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's naturally a competitive area because it's such a desirable area. We are, I suppose, never short of buyers. I always say, come and see us, because actually meeting us face to face, telling us to our faces what you're after, that's the most crucial thing, because then you'll get remembered. That way, when I come back in and I've got that fabulous instruction that is exactly what you're after, we'll remember you and you'll get that phone call.
And another question here is, how would someone make an appointment?
Just give us a call. Yeah, it's really easy, but come and see us. That's the best thing.
And what are the benefits of living in this location?
What aren't they? I mean, it's the quality of life. That's what North Norfolk's about. You've got all those beautiful places. I mean, I worked away from the county for most of my career, and I'm constantly conscious of how lucky I am to work in this part of the world when I'm driving around, doing my day-to-day job. To have this kind of scenery, it's really life-affirming. But actually, it's also it's an area where we've got, if you're coming here to live, you've got all those lifestyle aspects, but also you've got the practicalities. It may feel like a long way from everywhere, but actually Norfolk's not that far.
It's quite appealing to be a long way away from everywhere sometimes.
And what home shop would you recommend the most?
Blimey, what in the world?
Yeah, go for it. What's your favourite?
Goodness. Oh my goodness, that's really asking for something. Do you know what? Actually, we rarely go to. It sounds awful to do down the retail market, but we rarely go to shops these days. It's all so much about internet purchasing, and there's some really great, kind of fairly mainstream but reasonably priced homeware stores online. Like there's places like Maison de Monde, La Redoute, Zara Home. All of those ones are great, and they're not. I mean, there's luxury brands out there, there's designer brands out there, and they all do incredible. They can do incredible stuff. But we are about attainable design, and I think actually tapping those kind of mainstream ones, but being careful and cherry picking. Actually going and sourcing different things from different places means that you get something that's unique for you, rather than just going to like made.com and buying everything from there. And don't get me wrong, Made's got great stuff. But like I say, I think it's like if you can cherry pick, you might want to treat yourself with some beautiful Moi designer chair or lamp, which costs a fortune, but then you can combine that with the more high street brands, and make sure that you've got that great mix of products in there.
And what is the connectivity like into London and other cities?
It's not bad. I wouldn't say, the pandemic has definitely shifted our market here. Pre-pandemic, we didn't see a huge number of homeowners. It was mainly holiday homes and second homes. That's changed dramatically. If you're commuting every day, you're about a 25-minute drive, 30-minute drive to King's Lynn, and then you're just under 2 hours into King's Cross or Liverpool Street. They alternate, and that's and cut that by half if you're Cambridge. So it's doable, but you wouldn't want to do it every day. But these days you don't have to.
No. And you've got a perfect work from home space that we've shown upstairs. I think actually having a work from home space that's not in your living space. I mean, obviously, if you have to do that, totally get it. If you have got a smaller property, but one of the nice things about this place is that you have that a room to be able to have a dedicated office area that doesn't actually compromise how you use the home, and you can shut the door on it and kind of forget about it when you want to come back down here and be with your family. So.
And how many house types and house sizes are there on this development?
That's testing you. I've got a list. I'm going to tick them off.
It's a range of semi-detached and detached houses. There's one bungalow. You've got 3 beds, 4 beds. There's, to be honest, come and have a look at it, because there's such a selection here, and that's the beauty of it. It doesn't, sometimes with new build developments, there are brands that are so impersonal, but that's actually the beauty of Heartwood is there is something for everyone here.
And when are they available? Are they available now?
So phase 1, be quick. We launched phase 1 2 weeks ago. Half of phase 1, I believe, as of yesterday, has gone or have taken reservations. So there are other phases to follow, but we tend to find, because of all the reasons I've said, these type of properties just don't tend to sit around for very long.
And are there any interior design trends coming up? What should we look out for?
Oh, crikey. That's another one of those questions we get quite a lot. But there's trends that have been around for a while and aren't going anywhere. So things like foliage in the home, bringing the outside in, that kind of greenery. And I think this particular location really kind of shows how that can work well. It doesn't have to be in the obvious way. I mean, kind of bringing fabulous kind of graphic wallpapers and prints into the home can bring the outside in, but it doesn't all have to be green either, as you can see, because you've got that lovely kind of blue tone in here. I think that's always going to be a kind of trend, and this actually, especially this room, has got quite a Scandi feel, and that's been around for a while, but I think it's got real staying power. It's such a long-lasting look. It's classic. It's kind of timeless. So you can't go wrong with that. There are definitely more kind of vibrant prints and designs coming into the market. I think you often find the interiors follow fashion. So what you see in fashion prints, and those, when I was talking about that kind of slightly 70s kind of vibe, there's a little bit of that kind of coming through into interiors. So keep an eye out for it and see whether you can make it work.
And what about panelling? Do you think that's here to stay?
Panelling, love a bit of panelling. Oh my, I can never go wrong with panelling. We've gone kind of mental with it actually in a few schemes recently. There's some. Do you know what's great is that I think you can get that kind of wood slat panelling, and it was one of those things that was always very much a kind of bespoke joinery piece that cost a lot of money. It was quite difficult to achieve, but it certainly makes an interior feel quite luxury. And there's a lot of companies on the market now that are doing them as standard kind of panels that you can purchase. And it makes it so much more affordable, and you can achieve a really cool and luxury look without having to break your budget. So I think one of the companies is called Nature Wall. There's plenty more. I'm not sponsored by them. I just can't remember any of the others at the moment. But they come in lots of different colours, so you can go quite light and neutral with the kind of oak tones, or you can go really deep and rich in like ebonies and so on, and it can add a real luxury touch. That's a very contemporary type of panelling. If you want to do something a bit more heritage looking, you can get wallpapers which have got kind of panelling design on them. In fact, the top bedroom that we looked at with the vaulted ceiling, I forgot to mention when we were in there, that has like a what's it called, clapperboard shutter panelling look wallpaper in there, which you almost have to touch to believe it's not three-dimensional. It feels so real, and that can be really effective. So there's definitely kind of the kind of off-the-shelf solutions you can do, as well as the, you know, get a carpenter and panel your whole house. So yeah.
And what do you love most about interior design?
You're asking all the big questions. Being able to design so many homes. I mean, I've literally just refurbished my own house, and it has been painful because I'm having to make decisions which are kind of fairly permanent for myself. And it's really hard when you're working in this industry because you see new things all the time, and it's very hard to make up your mind. So, I mean, my husband's been going crazy because I keep changing my mind and going, but being able to design and continue to design with my team, you know, I'm one of the owners at Suna, so I don't get to design directly as much as I did, but I am constantly inspired by our team of designers and the people that I work with. And it's just delightful to see all of the new schemes that are coming out every day.
So here we've got sort of wooden flooring. What would you suggest is a cost-effective alternative?
So if you've got hardwood flooring, that is generally a bit more expensive, especially at the moment. Materials, because of the pandemic, because of the war, because of Brexit, the supply of materials is really, really hard at the moment. So I know for a fact that engineered wood flooring is much more expensive to be able to have in your own home. So there are some incredible LVT floors. So something like it's actually a vinyl floor, but it's not like sheet vinyl, which you get, you know, in B&Q. It's a much more kind of a luxury product. I say luxury, but it's actually not ridiculously expensive. So something like Cardine or Antico are two kind of the mainstay brands. You'll often find actually a lot of the timber wood floor companies are kind of creating their own LVT versions as well. They don't generally have as big a selections as somebody like Antico, but they have some great alternatives. And actually, it's a really practical solution to have, especially if you're going straight out to the outside space. It's very, very durable. It's great for kitchens and wet areas because it doesn't have the issues, obviously, if you have flooding. So yeah, that's a great kind of alternative to achieve the same look.
And what would you say to someone thinking to move to this development?
Do it. Hurry up.
It's, you know, you've seen around this house. You know, this is just a flavour. It's in such a quiet spot in the village, but everything's just a short walk away. Yeah, come up and see us.
All right, I think that's all the questions asked. Guys, if you've got any more questions, please send them through.
Now's the time. Try and challenge me with a broad question that I don't know how to answer.
What's your favourite cheese?
I know, yeah.
What is your favourite
That's
cheese?
too hard to ask. A very smelly camembert, probably. How about you? I can't believe you're doing this. Let's talk about cheese. To be enjoyed in your local Norfolk cafe on the beach. Any more, guys? No, we all good? You better get here before I end up buying this house. So, yeah, and come and see Spencer. Lovely to...
Look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I've done it.
All right.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.